This is going to be an exciting show today. I can tell you that this topic is of a big interest to me. It's been my life to uh, learn the internet. I started my first business called Internet Direct in 1993, and we'll call that version 1.0. It was a dial-up internet. We started with like 9,600 baud, and we went up to 56K. It was absolutely fascinating seeing the internet take off in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, we saw broadband and the rise of cloud computing. And now we have Web3. And so, Jared, I'm just going to kick it off right away. Like, to me, I'm a little bit confused about what Web3 is. So can you help us unpack it and let us, give us some definition of what it is? Because it seems to mean a lot of things different to a lot of people.
Hey, what's up, Colin? Thank you so much for having me. And shout out to the Startup Club. If you're not a member of this club, make sure to click the greenhouse at the top, follow it, and definitely make sure that you check out the Carousel of Rooms. A lot of quality content in this club. But yeah, so my superpower is really just breaking down what can be a very complicated, theories or terms or, technology in a way that is very simple. So, I mean, Web 3.0 is just the evolution of what we already know as the internet, except it's instead of it being just, websites, it's going to be more immersive via VR and AR technology, virtual reality, augmented reality tech. So you're going to be able to explore different storefronts, different properties, different services, but instead of it being on a browser where you type in to the URL, it's going to be via an avatar in a virtual reality environment. And so your avatar will be able to walk over to let's say Amazon is a website. They can have an Amazon warehouse where you can purchase items within the warehouse the same way you would if you physically go into a Target. So it's basically taking the real world and the internet and kind of, in my opinion, like combining them in a virtual reality setting where you can do all this transaction, build these relationships like you can on the internet in the metaverse, which is a VR version of the world, basically. And right now, Web 3.0 is in its infant stage. This is like, the internet boom that happened, when people were buying domains. That's what the metaverse is, except instead of buying domains, you're buying real estate. And then there's so much innovation in terms of how do you utilize this real estate? How do you take services you do in the real world and be the first to create them in these metaverses? And another way I kind of look at the metaverse too is like Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a version of the metaverse because we can be in Africa, somebody can be in India, somebody can be in China, but we're all in this space transferring energy, having conversations, building relationships. We can do business transactions. And that's what the metaverse is. Instead of this being static avatars as pictures and profiles, we'll have avatars where we can have individualized clothing that can be bought and sold like an NFT. And basically now I can go to the club and have a bunch of avatars around me in the club, and I can walk up to you, Colin, and check out your profile, and we can have a conversation, and then from there do business together. So it's a way to really just connect the world and have another world outside of our physical world. And some people are scared of it, like, oh my God, people are going to be just stuck with goggles on in their house and it's going to be Black Mirror. But at the end of the day, the way the internet has changed our lives in terms of flattening the world and helping create globalization and the ability to really make transactions and relationships anywhere in the world, that's what the metaverse is, except it's going to get more immersive. It's going to feel realer over time, because I like to look at it as like the metaverse right now is in the Atari version of the metaverse, like a stick and balls hitting back and forth. And if you think about video games where they're at now, they're super realistic. And, PS5 versus an Atari is so different. That's what the metaverse is going to end up becoming. And it's going to be very, very, exciting when it becomes that. But the people that invest in the land, invest in being a service provider, invest in the currency that supports different metaverses are going to, in my opinion, have the opportunity to have like Bitcoin type of appreciation when it comes to the upper right curve of revenue that's possible in this space. And that's why, having these conversations are important because nobody knows about the metaverse outside of places like Clubhouse and Twitter. So to be in here, we're very privileged. And that's why, I'm down at Consensus in Austin. And that's why I'll be at NFT in New York City at the end of the month, because I want to be around the people that are building the next Apple, the next Tesla, the next Microsoft in the metaverse. And unlike the Industrial Revolution back in the day, where only a Rockefeller or a Walton could really take advantage of it, everybody can have access to this. Everybody can buy land. Everybody can say, you know what, I'm going to be the first this in the metaverse. All you have to do is, get around the people that know what they're talking about, figure out your space and your place in it, and then execute. And sky's the limit. So hopefully that was helpful. That's what the
Yeah,
metaverse Web 3.0 is to
yeah,
me.
yeah. It's very helpful, and in this show in particular, we have done a number of episodes around the podcast network. Just search for Serial Entrepreneur Club. But what's interesting about these technology innovations, and you were touching upon this, that's where the opportunity happens because big corporations they're pretty conservative in nature. Where we as entrepreneurs, we as startups, we can get involved in a lot of these technologies early on. And to be quite frank, I have. That's how I've made my career. Starting an ISP in the '90s, a cloud hosting company in 2000, .club in 2012. So whether it's a technology shift or a regulatory shift, there's opportunity for startups everywhere. And so I think you started talking a little bit about that opportunity. Could you expand on that? Like for instance, last week we did a show on tokenizing real estate. And it just the bells started going off thinking about all of the different opportunities in this emerging space, and it was just incredible thinking of the opportunities. Now, is that part of the Web3 as well? Tokenizing real estate, this democratization with these coins, is it all connected?
May I just say something?
Sorry, Vincent. I
All
just
right.
want to give Jarrett a minute. He's our guest speaker. We're going to open it up for Vincent for sure. We want you, giving us feedback and asking questions too. We're going to open it up. I just wanted Jarrett to get because he is our guest speaker to give us a few minutes to talk us through this.
Yeah, so I guess it's debatable, right? One thing about this space is anybody that says they're an expert, look at them with the side eye. So just to be clear, I'm not claiming myself to be an expert in Web3. I just have a lot of conversations around it. I'm very curious, and that's basically it. But when it comes to tokenization of real estate, yeah, I would say that's a portion of what Web3 is, because tokenization basically is just allowing your Web3 environment to have its own, blockchain currency, etc., to increase transparency. And also, if things are resold, the royalty contract will make sure that you get your percentage automatically, as the asset moves hands in the future. But what I think about Web 3.0 and real estate, I more so think about the real estate of buying land and building properties in the metaverse that you can rent out the way you would rent out a short-term rental, and the way that you would, buy land, and the school district and the shopping mall and the football stadium get built around it in the real world. Your property increases in value because everybody wants to be there through proximity. Um, that's what I think about with real estate. But one cool thing in real estate is just augmented reality. Just think about going into a construction site and being able to pull your phone out and browse, put your camera over a QR code, and then quickly you can put your phone to different areas of the construction site and see what it's going to look like when it's built out, like the I guess the what's the word in real estate? The basically the staging of the space, like using augmented reality to stage the space. You can do that with Superworld right now. So there's like so many cool little variations of use cases when it comes to Web3 and augmented reality. But tokenization of real estate is going to be dope because you can make a property an NFT, and through that, as it sells over time, instead of you just getting the profit one time, you get the profit every time it's sold. So hopefully that was clear. I kind of might have went all over the
Yeah,
place.
I think it's great. And, this actually just kind of occurred to me, Jarrett. Like, I feel like people are really trying to get very particular and specific about these, even though I even asked you, like, what are the use cases and business models about the metaverse? It just occurs to me, just thinking about this, that it's broader than we're ready to go as a society or whatever. Like, every time I hear people talking about the metaverse, they immediately go into the shopping experience. My gosh, social media isn't even there yet. Like, that's just the honest truth. Like, social media, if you looked at the proportion that's just interaction and content, is far outweighs the amount of commerce. So I don't know. Like, I'm just putting this out there as a question for people. There are so many usages, and I feel like the first stage might be just like this freemium and this free play. And like you mentioned, like the real estate, which, by the way, I would call MX, it's a mixed reality. Actually, I have a relative who works for Apple. Like, that is what they're actually doing with the first launch, or MR, of their glasses. They have even stated that very publicly. Like, it's going to be a mixed kind of experience in the beginning. And I just feel like, yeah, people want to jump to like doing all these cool, like, come and shop in my little universe, but I don't see it working for most people that are just starting off. I think it will be hard enough to have it work for somebody like Nike, let alone just like jumping to that. I think there's a lot of intermediary steps that are around just connecting and maybe learning. And I'm curious about your thoughts on that, Jarrett. Back to you.
Yeah, I think Meta has a mixed reaction, right? But I think the fact that Facebook is so known and that they are, supporting, providing the Oculus goggles, and they're making it like seamless to feel like, okay, I play these games in these goggles, and then I can go into these communities. I think Meta will have an important factor in just onboarding the regular person into the metaverse and just making them feel comfortable about wearing the goggles and being able to interact with friends with their avatars. And from there, once they start understanding that, okay, there's other environments that are out there that are a little bit more trustworthy, because I think most people are a little worried about, like, um, is Meta gonna fish on my data and everything like that, like they've been doing, and tampering with elections, etc. So I think people aren't really comfortable with Meta, but I think Meta is going to be important, and it is important in the sense of they have the marketing power to really expose the metaverse and what's the potential is in that setting. The scary thing, though, I think for people is the wallets and the crypto, and connecting your crypto wallet to metaverse environments and all of that. That's where the onboarding is going to be a little tougher. The understanding of what NFTs are, and the fear of the security around wallets, and will my wallet get drained? So those steps, those intermediary steps, I think that's where the growing pains are happening. That's where people are getting a little confused. But when it comes to just putting on the goggles and roaming around different environments, I think Meta is going to be an important conduit to kind of educating people on baby steps, this is what it looks like. And then once they really start liking it, then they can learn more about like Sandbox and CryptoVoxels, Decentraland, and these other spaces that may need a little bit more advanced knowledge to move around. Hopefully that answers the question, but I think that's kind of what I see the evolution right now is. And if you do know Web 3.0 and you can be a tour guide for folks that want to get on the platform, I think there's going to be a huge place for you. If you know how to build property or rent out space, I think there's going to be a huge place for you. If you can consult companies like Nike on how to build a metaverse environment, how to make their clothing NFTs, and how to go to market, which they're already doing. But like, so Nike's already there, but other companies, I think there's going to be a big place for you. So if you're in this audience and you learned about the metaverse, you have a lot of value to those that have no idea about it, and you can be that conduit and that onboarding. And I think there's going to be a lot of revenue opportunity for those that can bring them in, because there's going to be a lot of revenue opportunity once they're in there, and the space becomes more adopted over time.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point, Jared. Like, what is needed now are those folks that can really help people, build out their strategy and the first steps of their platform. Like, that is, perhaps where the money is, so to speak. And we all know that none of us know what it really is and how to really go about it. So there are a lot of learnings. I agree.
I think in the early stages of the early '90s, it was all about games, communication, sex, gambling. These are the drivers that drove the internet in the first instance, and I wonder if that will be repeated with Web3.
Yeah, I think so. I think what you see in the real world and what you saw on the internet is all going to be repeated on Web3 ultimately. So it's not something that I think we should like overthink. It's just more so like, all right, the real world was this, then we got the internet, that changed our lives, and now we're able to do this. And what we're able to do in the real world that we were able to kind of emulate in the internet, we're going to be able to emulate it even more realistically in the metaverse. And to the point in the chat, when I say like people outside of Clubhouse and Twitter really don't know about the metaverse, I mean that's not accurate, right? Like, of course, there's people that know about the metaverse that aren't on Clubhouse or not on Twitter, but the majority of the folks that do know about the metaverse, that know about crypto and NFTs, that's where we congregate. We congregate on one of those platforms. LinkedIn is obviously the biggest professional network in the world. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of Web3 knowledge and Web3 networking there. There's an app called Entree, which is a Web3 professional network that I think is going to be a great place to have proximity to, Web3 professionals. But ultimately, like, in terms of the frequency of conversation around Web3 and the metaverse, there's no other place that's really having it the way that social audio is. In particular, in the Startup Club and Clubhouse, NFT Club and Clubhouse, and then Twitter Spaces is really ripe with it. So, just to answer in the chat, like nothing's literal that I say in the sense of nobody knows outside of it. I'm just saying like these we're really lucky to be in this environment having these conversations at comes in straight from these conferences. The fact that Board 8 Yacht Club was basically birthed in the clubhouse rooms, and now it's multi-million dollar corporation, I guess you can call it. Like, we can't take that for granted, and we got to just understand how lucky we are to be in these spaces and to be early adopters, and embrace the moment. So yeah, but ultimately though, yeah, everything that happens in the real world and happens on the internet is going to happen in the metaverse. The question is, who are going to be the first people to bring it to the metaverse and have it be super adoptable and kind of the go-to version of that reality in the metaverse. And that's the opportunity that we all have, and it's kind of like the gold rush. Everybody's rushing to figure out, all right, who's going to be the first to do this, that, and the other. And whoever really locks it down is going to have a lot of opportunity to make money, but also impact the experience for the users.
Yeah, and to that point, right? I think it is going to take many years because we know Apple has very publicly stated, and they're, in my mind, at least a significant force here. They've been working on this for years, and they're starting off with the first steps. So in a way, that's an awesome thing for people because let them solve the big broader technology issues, because there are a lot of technology issues. We know it's massively bandwidth and equipment heavy, you know ergo investment heavy. So once some of these more notable technology players come out with this, whatever it is, a device or a platform, I think then we're going to start to see those opportunities. And I agree with what you're saying, Jarrett. Some of the early opportunities, we know it doesn't take a brain surgeon to realize, are going to be people that have some kind of expertise, and it will evolve very quickly. And it's awesome. There will be a lot of really cool niche and creative people that will be able to jump in and hopefully make fortunes and do very well. So for me, that's where I find the excitement. If you were asking me today, like where to invest, I don't know the answer to that question. But gosh, I'm just listening to all these sessions on Startup Club and other clubs, trying to learn what I can, and the picture's starting to get a little bit clearer. So for me right now, I'm thinking, yeah, go. It's going to be broad, and it's probably going to be more like social media applications, and we'll start to learn and you know correct course or whatever it is, or build on it from them. But one thing I just want to mention that I haven't heard anybody mention in most shows that I've been in is, I think what's really interesting about Metaverse is, in many many ways, I think it's going to take out a lot of it's going to level the playing force. And I mean for individual people in terms of discrimination. Like, really, you can be whoever you want in an authentic way. And I also think it's going to be very interesting because, like we said, there's going to be all these niche, interesting plays for people who want to make money, whether they're a merchant or a vendor. So it's definitely something that I would love to hear the Startup Club members continue to engage in and see lots of sessions around. Thank you.
Yeah, we have to put Startup Club on the Web3 in the metaverse.
Yes.
Well, it's great that we have Giuseppe, Vincent, Bianca, and Jordi LaForge, one of my favorite characters. It's great we have you on stage. If you want to come up on stage and join the conversation, you're welcome to do so, or ask a question of Jarrett. Jarrett is our special guest here. He's a bit of a celebrity on Clubhouse, and I like the way that he communicates topics and sort of breaks things down. Also, if you think the topic's interesting, at the bottom of your screen where it says number 10 right now, you can share this room. And when you share it, even if people miss it, they can catch the recording of it as well. Giuseppe, I've seen you talk a few times. You always give us wise advice. Did you have a question for Jarrett, or did you want to share with us some thoughts on the Web3?
Question, I can have a 200 question, because anytime I can increase my knowledge about Web3 is important. Yeah, what I can share, like Colin, is the important evolution of this moment. I'm a real estate investor since 1991, and I started 1 year ago to work to receive the cryptocurrency, blockchain cryptocurrency. I need to start my project with cryptocurrency, real estate, and metaverses. And yes, I would like to know how can find a company can follow me step by step, because it's not question of trust. It's question of I didn't recognize who is the professional person or company can follow me for started from zero. I have over 500 property and started with my project with the metaverse and real estate. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, Giuseppe? So when it comes to real estate in the physical world and how you can integrate Web3, I'm not necessarily the expert on that. nor do I know exactly who the right person is. I do know Superworld has that augmented reality feature where you can QR code and like have your phone basically look at the different parts of the construction site and see it staged. That's a use case that's happening right now. But when it comes to real estate in the metaverse, if everybody goes to my Instagram and goes to my bio, I have a really dope resource on a lot of different aspects of real estate in the metaverse. So just a summary of some of the things that you'll find in that document. What is metaverse real estate? Why purchase metaverse real estate? How much is metaverse real estate worth? How to buy metaverse property? Where to buy metaverse real estate? How to choose which parcel of land to buy on the metaverse? Statistics on metaverse real estate, risks and challenges of investing in the metaverse, and big risks with potentially big rewards. And it breaks it down in a very clear and concise way. Um, and it's free. That to me is one of the best resources. And I definitely at some point I want to put together like some sort of ebook, like metaverse for just the average person. But this document in my Instagram bio is pretty comprehensive. And the fact that in 2021, metaverse real estate sales on 4 major platforms reached 501 million, are expected to double to $1 billion this year. The fact that the average price per parcel in major metaverse platforms went from 1265 to 12,684. Like, these are all really good trends that if you buy in the right environment, in the right place, and you hold on to it, it's going to appreciate, because the Nikes and the JP Morgans and the fashion weeks and everything like that are going to start coming into the spaces, and then people are going to want to be in proximity. But for metaverse real estate, definitely check out the link in my IG bio. My IG for those on the podcast is Dr. J, DOCTAJ. And great resource when it comes to real estate in the real world. I would check out the replay of Tokenization of Real Estate that's in the Startup Club, and it's probably on Colin's profile as well. So, Colin, who were the folks that were leading that conversation that could potentially help Giuseppe?
Actually, he might have even been on last week, if I remember correct. But that was actually two experts we had on. We had Jenny, who's a lawyer out of California, and we had the name Daniel Fisk, right? Yeah, that's right. And he actually works for a $2 billion firm where they're tokenizing a building in Miami, Wynwood, a 10-story building. So these projects are starting to happen. This is something that is taking off. I've also seen, we had another guest on who was Carrie Purcell, and I can't remember the name of her company, but if you search Carrie Purcell startup on Google, Adaptica,
Yeah.
she actually has technology where she builds a metaverse for communities, and she's done incubators and other types of environments. Here in Fort Lauderdale, we are friends with the gentleman who started Fat Village. Fat Village is Fort Lauderdale Arts and Technology, and they're actually trying to design or put their whole community into a metaverse. Now, understand what's happening here. They're tearing down pretty much everything, and they're building a 2.0, a physical 2.0 Fat Village. It's a $500 million project. But you can begin to imagine, let's say I wanted to go to Wynwood and I wanted to see the art at Wynwood, and walking through a metaverse and seeing that would be pretty cool, especially if you were thinking about doing it in advance. So I don't know if that helps out Giuseppe at all, or if we're on the right track, or if there's any other thoughts you have.
Yeah, no, I think what you said are some great resources. And by the way, in terms of like real estate in the metaverse, I brought up Bianca because she actually builds out environments in the metaverse, and she's like a consultant for brands and folks that want to develop spaces. And then she also has places where if you want to throw an event in the metaverse, she rents them out. So she can definitely talk on this topic as well as anybody. So I just wanted to shout her out, So Colin, if you want to throw her some
Sounds
questions.
good. Yeah, Bianca, Vincent, I know I promised you next, but we will get to you. Sorry about that, Vincent. But since
No
we're on the
worries.
topic, Bianca, since we're on the topic, do you want to throw your 2 cents in there?
Yeah, just remind me what the question is. So I make sure I'm on topic.
Sorry, Jarrett.
Yeah, no, we're talking about just metaverse real estate and
Mm-hmm.
either applications for real estate in the real world with the metaverse or
Mm-hmm.
applications in the metaverse when it comes to metaverse real estate. So, either topic, just whichever one
Yeah,
you feel comfortable with.
sure. So I have a whole resource that's on my Instagram bio for like easy events that people can throw in the metaverse. So think about just any type of like consumer activation, branded event, conference, seminar, anything pretty much you can do on Zoom, AirMeet, or Hopin. You can pretty much do in the metaverse. The key difference is creating spaces that are immersive, that people can engage with each other, they can be whoever they want, and just really fun, right? And so, what you've seen during the pandemic is that a lot of people were trying to reach out to their audiences, their customers, their clients through some of those other, like, I'm going to call them 2D platforms, right? So, Zoom, where they were just watching people. And so, what has happened is a lot of people are exhausted, right? They have Zoom fatigue. They don't want to get on these meetings anymore and come to these spaces. And so, being able to convert your experiences, especially around events, is a really great use case. And any event that you can think of can be brought into the metaverse. And so, we work with people to really think about what their business strategy is going to be specifically around events. But then also ideating what the future of their business could look like outside of events, but specifically in the metaverse. And so there's a lot of advancements that are happening with the technology, the itself, the different platforms, because there's not one place to go into the metaverse. There's many different places, and so Facebook, aka Meta, has their own version. Horizon Worlds. You have platforms called Spatial, which I like. Decentraland, Sandbox. I mean, there's literally hundreds of them, right? And so I think that for anyone who's here, the first step is just trying to really figure out how your business or your work could be brought into the metaverse by looking at examples that already exist. So just even Googling something simple, metaverse plus whatever it is that you do, will start giving you examples of what you could start thinking about and start creating in the space. But for those of you who want event ideas, you can definitely go to my profile and download that freebie so that can get you started at least.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, Vincent, do you have a question for Jarrett or a thought on this topic?
Yeah, quite a few. One sec, sorry, let me get this music turned off. Uh,
I thought that was pretty good. It was your intro music, right? Nice and smooth.
no, I just hit the mute button. I'm gonna go outside. Well, no, I just listen to chill music, man. So I'm really, really, really new to the metaverse. We're talking like week one. But the thing is, a lot of the things that go into the metaverse, I've been working on in the real world that are directly applicable to the metaverse, and it's kind of a trip, really. So I've been building a business that I call the Audacity. It's a startup I'm about to launch that very much is about, well, giving equal opportunity to everyone. I don't. I believe business has been conducted wrong, and I want to give it a level playing field in which it can be conducted. And like the only way someone has an advantage over another is if they've done hard work to get there. You know, not money, not power, not influence, but really put in the grind. And yeah, Bianca, I just wanted to hit me on the back channel. I can hit you up. I see you do courses, and I can help you create those via AI, and just like whole curriculums, like homework, tests, quizzes, just so you can share the information with as many people as possible. Because this is a place I'm starting to see is quite beautiful. I'm really not in it for the money, but there is money to be made here. But I just want to make sure that people are doing it rightfully and not. There's a lot of people going around buying up real estate in the metaverse and just putting it in their wallets and not doing anything with it, and that's not why the metaverse was created. It's created to be like, correct me if I'm wrong, please, anyone on stage, but my understanding, it's very much kind of what I set my business out to be. Strategic partnerships, like everyone working together rather than working for themselves.
Yeah.
It's we, not
Yeah.
me. It's
Yeah,
we,
Vincent.
not me.
Vincent, it's interesting you bring that up. This idea of the collective good. When the internet started in the 90s, literally everyone came together. And I mean, physically and digitally, we actually started in Toronto. A number of us started the Toronto Internet Exchange because the idea was to share the data and make it free for everybody. And there was a lot of really good camaraderie and things that were done at the time in the 90s. It was just a very different time on the internet. People worked together and it was idealistic. And hopefully, again, that will repeat here. I think that the metaverse has a way. We talked about democratization of investments, in the blockchain, using the blockchain. Uh, and we've also talked about, Michelle mentioned, could this help eliminate discrimination and other issues? Like, Jarrett, how do you,
Sorry.
sorry, but I was going to ask Jarrett first, but how do you see that this metaverse, this Web3 could improve society?
Yeah, that's a very deep question. I mean, my hope is, like, I'm very passionate about, diversity in tech, but also diversity in Web3, and I want to make sure that underserved communities have their children on Roblox, learning about the metaverse early, and the way that education can be unequal based off of how much taxes that neighborhood pays, and therefore the schools will either be not as have as many resources as others in richer tax brackets. My hope is that with an Oculus and with programs, underserved communities, lower income communities can be educated on Web3 from a young age, so that it's not something they're trying to figure out and feel overwhelmed by, but it's something that is basically a part of their motion. So if that is the case, which it's possible for that to be the case, I think it'd be great for society by evening the playing field, to where you don't have to necessarily go to college to become a successful entrepreneur, because e-commerce, the metaverse, and therefore you can be very competitive and add a lot of value in that space. So it's a big if, though, but right now I think there is no barrier to entry for anybody to get into this space. You don't have to have a certain amount of money or this or that necessarily. It's just really about just getting knowledgeable and getting involved and, like, putting on your Oculus. And there's a lot of free places you can build out property. There's a lot of free land you can take, and get sharp on it. So that's my thought. But I'd love to ask Bianca, like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think this could be helpful for society and making things a little bit more even across different socioeconomic, you know, uh, areas of this country?
Oh, absolutely. And I actually just had this conversation earlier. I was on a call with Deloitte, and a lot of people had some really interesting questions. I think the the myth that's out there is that you only can access the metaverse, right? The virtual spaces with a headset. And what I think is really cool about the advancement of the technology is that we've started to eliminate the digital divide, right? And so now longer do you need a $600 headset and a $2,000 supercomputer. You literally can get on with your phone. You can get on with your laptop. And so definitely breaking down some of those barriers, and the barrier to entry pretty much doesn't exist anymore. So all of to what you said, and I think all of that lends itself that anyone and everyone can get in, and kind of like as Vincent was saying, is that we have no more excuses, right? Like literally today, right at this very moment, as you're listening to this room, you could start building your enterprise, your empire, your courses, your classes, whatever it is in the metaverse, and it's wide open. So yeah, this is good for all of us.
Well, hopefully it can fix the education problem in the United States. graduating with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt seems to be it just seems to be a little overdone. And if there was a way to do this education more efficiently, that would make it available to everyone
Yeah.
instead of making it something that only the rich can afford, or you have to have massive debts that you'd pay for the rest of your life.
Oh, I'm so happy you just said that. So, one of the first initiatives I'm working on with my company is giving the world free A plus accredited primary and secondary school.
That's awesome. And are you thinking about, have you thought about doing that using the metaverse? I'm just throwing that out there. I know we're
As
working
I
on your
said,
business plan right now, right?
I'm week one in Metaverse, so I'm just trying to find out my place, my space, and I'm an artist, an abstract acrylic artist. Only 3 years into it, but I couldn't even call myself an artist until November 5th, and which is funny. Remember the 5th of November, the day that I started giving myself some credit. But the thing is, not only the metaverse, but the real world. Like, it's such a beautiful thing. This metaverse is just. 4 years ago, I started on October 1st, 2018, and I've worked 16 to 20-hour days every day. I haven't taken a vacation. My mentor won't even work with me until I take a vacation. And it's just so beautiful because this is the vision that it's close to the vision that I set out to build, and I'm just so happy that I've always said that if someone made it other than me, I'd be so happy. I wouldn't even be aggravated. I'm just happy to be able to be a part of it, and
Well,
it's incredible. I'm at a loss for
we
words
appreciate,
sometimes.
Vincent, we appreciate that. We're working on your business plan, and hopefully we can get updates from you as time goes by. All right, we want to move on to another artist. Victor, I believe is your name. Is that correct, or is it? Am I getting that from your profile correct? Jordi LaForge or Fabio, either one of you, if you want to jump in there to ask a question of Jarrett or a comment on the space, Fabio or Jordi LaForge.
Yeah, Colin, I'll quickly just want to give Fabio some props. So he's part of the leadership team of a metaverse environment called Multiverse IIR, or Dusty Multiverse. And I'll let him introduce himself, but he's definitely somebody that if you want to pick the brain of somebody that's actually working with brands and creating innovation within the metaverse, and you can actually go to the Google Play or Apple App Store and download the metaverse, build an avatar, and experience Burning Man. What he's doing is really, really dope. And I'm excited to be partners with Fabio in the sense of anytime somebody's like, hey, I want to do something in the metaverse, he's one of my go-to guys. So just wanted to give him his flowers before he speaks. But yeah, Fabio, please introduce yourself, and what do you think the future of Web 3.0 is? Tell people about Multiverse. Give people your insights.
Oh, thank you so much, man. That's so kind. What's up, everybody? Colin, Jarrett, thank you for inviting me. We are just always back to back into meetings as things, as you guys know, move fastly. But thank you guys so much. Yeah. My name is Fabio Janito, and I represent in this field Clipo Labs, which is a software house and design studio based in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, but we are let's say worldwide. Basically, I live in between Italy and United States. I'm in Spain right now, by the way, and we produced the largest virtual environment in history, which is, as Jarrett said brilliantly, virtual Burning Man. Which, as you guys know, is probably the largest gathering of humans across Black Rock Desert once a year for a week. And we solved the problem of the community, which couldn't get together, unfortunately, for COVID-19. So what we did is we completely redesigned 7 mile square environment and plug it into our technology called IIR, which is interactive immersive reality, almost 3 years ago. And now all of that is completely decentralized on our blockchain. We launched CNFT, which is Clipo NFT, and we coined it Metaverse as a Service. What does it mean in a Web3 word? It means like we are using Amazon AWS, for example, to talk on Clubhouse or Zoom or other 2.0 app, Web2, because this is another problem to solve. We cannot get to a Web3 if we don't have a better Web2. This is a point, because we are still not there. There's a lot of things and topics about it, because mostly because of sustainability, computational power, mining on the blockchain and all of that. That's energy that is going to be very, very, very consuming. So we are working on different fields, and let's say we are trying to solve the most difficult engineering processes to make a Ready Player One reality. What does it mean? It means that in this decentralized future, the focus is on ownership. So I heard Vincent, and kudos to all the artists. I'm a little artist myself as well. I come from the music industry and design, so I understand that we have so much to talk about it. But just a use case, for example, in the case of music, ownership. You don't need a distributor to sell your music as NFT and go straight to your community. You can build your beautiful metaverse, let's call it like that, but I would prefer environment. For example, in the multiverse, you don't have to pay for a plot of land. This is another game changer, because mostly of the platforms right now going on, they want you to pay through their token for a plot of land, which is cool. It's a business and it's very, very well done. But our approach is different. We want to be a service for humanity and creators. So yeah, if you want to check us out, just check out my bio or entermultiverse.io or dustymultiverse.com, but I would recommend entermultiverse.io, so you can check out what we do. We have partnerships with big brands. One of our top clients is Cartier, the jewelry company. Then we have Tesla. We got something for Nike as well. We have the Louvre. We did something for the Louvre Museum, a fundraiser, which was really beautiful. And on top of that, we got so much going on. I'm very happy being here. And if you need something in the space, you definitely want to reach out to Jarrett, because he's one of the real OG, and he's a legit and serious person. And before, on top of that, he's a good friend of mine. Thank you so much, guys.
That is awesome. Well, this is the first time I've ever heard multiverse as a service.
Yeah,
So
metaverse as
we'll
a
call that
service.
it's metaverse as a service.
It's
Sorry,
like
metaverse as a
system
service.
as a service, but that's past. If you look at
So the acronym we're going
yeah.
to have to go with is MAS, right?
Yeah, it's like
Metaverse as a
Exactly.
service.
you want to build a space, and you need a service to build that space, which might be a cloud or something like that, with a huge difference that you might not want to relay on private clouds, because that's going to be your cloud. Make sense?
Exactly. Yeah. So when
So
is the Burning Man? So you mentioned that you had an event. It was a virtual Burning Man,
yeah, it was
and
in the
it
week.
was. Do you do it annually? Is it annually?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
an
yeah,
event
yeah.
that we can go to?
Yeah, the real event, but what's real at this point? The real event, it takes place by the end of August until the first week of September. And for this year, we have the very first NFT environment becoming a physical stage at the physical playa in Burning Man 2022, which is Salvation. And it's the first NFT Valley, which proudly I designed it. And it's going to be, for example, you calling are in Hong Kong, right? Jared is in LA, I'm in Italy. How can we gather if we cannot go to the playa? We gather specifically going on the multiverse. You don't, and I just want to say another thing as well. You don't need an Oculus to join the metaverse. You know, although multiverse is designed pretty well for VR, But you don't need the Oculus. You just need to download a free app, which is a Web2 app, decentralized manual. So it's Web3. Go into the App Store or Google Play, but also Oculus, I repeat, just with your smartphone, enjoying it and living it, because many folks are talking about it. So be aware of scams and something like that. But nobody really has it. We have it. This is a huge difference.
And since we are in a virtual environment, we can still get naked and stoned at the same time. Am I right? Just joking. Okay.
No, can you say it again? Sorry, I was.
I said, can I say it? I'm going to get in trouble for saying it once. Now I'm going to get in trouble for saying it twice. I said, because we're in a virtual environment, we can still get naked and stoned, correct?
Well, that's up to you. That's a human problem.
I'm
And
teasing.
no, but in terms of security, you put it up a very important issue, and we are also for education working very, very, very aligned, also with governments and other folks, very, very oriented for security, because let's not forget the kids are the ones that are more experienced despite us on this. So we need to protect kids and need to guide them and follow the everything with them, and just making sure that everything gets in place, because another huge difference is you got a blockchain and you got the ludic part of the thing. So we're trying to solve also this problem as well.
And for the record, we totally support what you're saying, Fabio, about being responsible for, laws and children. So thank you for,
No, but it
Absolutely.
does bring up an interesting point because,
yeah.
again, back on the streets, when you grow up, you're saying, oh, don't talk to a stranger, and then all of a sudden the internet comes about and they're saying, well, be careful who you talk to online. Now Web3 comes out and you're dealing with a whole new set of security issues and your kids and how they interact, and could it lead to a suicide? Like, there's so many issues, bullying, all this other things that we haven't even thought about when it comes to
Of course.
this. I mean, we're talking about startups. We do dedicate the show to that and the opportunities here, but that's an area that we haven't even thought about. And actually, there probably is opportunity for startups that want to provide security for these types of services. I don't know if anybody else wants to on the panel here wants to jump in and talk a little bit about
Yep.
that.
If I may, Fabio, it sounds like we have lots of similar values, and I think we can do some incredible stuff. I do AI generative art as well. I'm just getting into it. That's interactive and live, so people can go to these NFTs, not even buy them, and just by clicking their mouse on it, it generates interactivity. It's they can speed it up, slow it down, different variables. It's so amazing. If you haven't heard of it,
That's
it's
great. That's great. I mean,
artblocks.io.
yeah, yeah.
That's something I'm.
Please make sure
Uh,
feel free to DM me or Jared with all the links and stuff, or put it in
I,
the
I
chat.
already
I'll
hit you
check
on
it out
I already hit
for
you on
sure.
Instagram,
Okay, thank
and
you.
And Jared too.
That's amazing. I can't wait to
Um,
check it out, Vincent. Kudos.
it's not mine. It's not mine. It's just something I've been very blessed
See, you say the great
by
thing. It's
my
not
mentor.
mine. It's for everybody. That's a huge difference. Let's talk
Well,
about community. For the real
exactly. Well,
community.
because
For everybody.
it's like what I keep saying is it's not me, it's we.
Yes.
And the thing is, it's just like I don't see myself as above anyone. If anything, I see myself as below everyone, so I can help lift everyone up together. I see that many people have tried to buy me out just to like stop what I'm doing. They're like, here, just ditch the product and walk away, never look back. And those have probably been the biggest, like people trying to invest in me. But that's not what I'm doing. I'm not about it. I'm not influenced by money. I'm more influenced by. I've made a couple mistakes in my life that have actually cost me my life once, and then someone tried to take it once, or two people, and they tried to murder me for money I wanted at a casino, and they followed me to my home and came in, and we won't get into that, but they hit me on the head with a lead pipe, and it caused my brain to have more connectivity between the two hemispheres, and it's given me more. It's given me kind of a meta perspective on life. I kind of just identify things in a way that people don't immediately see, and I just want to share my vision with everyone, because I think it's truly like you said. You brought up, you came up with the multi. You didn't come up with the multiverse. Were very, you were a pioneer in making it. Well, my idea was to create a meta system, which is basically the same thing, an environment in which anyone and everyone can build, and we can help. It's just, I'm sorry, I'm almost at a loss for words. I'm smiling so much.
That's great. You can still do it, man. You can
Oh,
still do it.
and I
Yes.
will, but it's so great to hear that. For a long time, there was people who very much said what I was doing was impossible, and I mean, I worked on October 1st. It'll be 4 years that I've been working 16 to 20-hour days to make this possible, and done it completely solo by myself. In fact, I financed it with $20 and a broken laptop. In 16 months, I turned that into $82,000.
Listen, I understand you so much. You know why? Because I became director of strategic initiatives at Clipo and first director of talent just using the app. Like saying, man, this app sucks. Nobody's talking. It's like we have almost 1 million avatars because this is one of our best capabilities to have simultaneously up to 1 million people avatars, and they responded and they offered me a job. So I totally encourage you to keep doing it, and maybe at some point we can plug it into the multiverse. You know what I'm saying? So it's totally inspiring, your story, and trust me, I've been there. I'm still there. I'm a nerd myself,
Oh, I'm a
and
hybrid as well.
yeah. So as artist, I totally understand. So much respect,
Well,
man.
but see,
Oh, that's great. And I do wanna jump down to Latendo. We only have a few minutes left, and I also wanted to give Jared a chance to close here as well. But Latendo, do you have a question for Jared or a thought about the metaverse? Sorry, we're talking a lot about the metaverse, but really Web3.
No, I think Fabio. Thanks, Colin, for bringing you on board. I think Fabio just covered everything that I needed to sort of hear, because NFTs are one of those big things that are coming up. I mean, the unpredictability of it's like an unknown territory basically as to where they'll go. But I think the way that Fabio covered it and explained it, yeah, I don't have much to say. I think he topped it, and I can feel his passion, and I'm really excited for him and Vincent as well.
thank you so much,
Thank you,
Jared.
man. Thank you.
When it comes to NFTs, I might have a thing or two to add some value to this multiverse, this beautiful thing that is coming up. And when I said I was a hybrid, I'm not only a nerd, an artist, but I'm also quite the seasoned businessman. And I just want to make it to where, man, I'm 31, and all these kids, they listen to me for some reason. So I just want to make sure my voice is being heard by the right people, because I've had many investors tell me that it's my superpower. So if I'm going to use my superpower for anything, I'm going to use it for good. And if you guys have something great that we can bring to like the world, the metaverse, the multiverse, please contact me, because I just want to help. That's what I live for. That's my purpose, to enact positive, measurable change on this planet, multiverse, wherever it may be. Just as long as I exist, that's what I'm going to do, and that's how I'm going to be being.
No, that's awesome. Very good. And we do a show every Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern called The Complete Entrepreneur, and your story and just your attitude about that and your plight as an entrepreneur. You'd be a great guest on that show as well. So, Jared, did you want to close it out here? Any last thoughts about Web3? Where does somebody get started? If they're new to it, what would be a good first step?
Yeah, I would just say, it's very cliche, but Google is a pretty good resource. What is Web 3.0? What is an NFT? And the top things that pop up are pretty good. So I mentioned, if you want to get a deep dive into the real estate space in the metaverse, definitely go to my Instagram and go to the link in my bio. And I definitely do rooms on the metaverse. So if you click my bio and check out some of my replays. Yesterday, I did a room on opportunities in Web 3.0 Spotlight. So, highlighted a bunch of different job boards and resources where you can get educated and then also get employed, for the companies that are, building out the metaverse. And if you scroll down to the beginning of the year, did some really long and really powerful rooms that it was, the way I like to moderate rooms is bring up the experts and let them just share. And so, like metaverse monetization strategies, things like that. Those replays I think are really, really solid. I would go, back to, earlier this year and check out some of those rooms. And then, show up to the conferences. That's where you're going to really meet people that can, kind of show you the different resources and, take you to different places. So, NFT New York City is coming up. Right now, I'm at Consensus. There was NFT LA. Art Basel has a lot of great, topics and conversations around the metaverse. I think Afrotech is going to have a really great metaverse track. I would say Twitter Spaces and search the hashtag Web3, hashtag NFT, hashtag crypto. Check out Twitter Spaces is a really good place to be a fly on the wall. Clubhouse has some good spaces as well. The Startup Club in particular. So definitely follow the Greenhouse. And people like Bianca that can hold your hand and get you started. Another place I would go to is there's a woman named Ope, and then her last name is M. And if you search Metaverse Meetup on Clubhouse, she does. She has a club where she basically gives you tours and onboards you onto multiple metaverse environments, and she's very patient. She makes sure you're not left behind. And if you want to actually experience CryptoVoxels or Decentraland or AltSpace VR, etc., um, that those clubhouse rooms are really great places to be. And you can get your feet wet. And once you get your feet wet, you're like, okay, this isn't that complicated. And then you can, go ahead and move forward with it. But I'll be doing other opportunities in Web 3.0 room on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. And then there's an app called Entree, Entre. Um, that's a Web3 professional networking app. I highly recommend checking that out. I'll be doing a Web 3.0 Tech Career Fair there June 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. And so if you're interested in Entree, just hit me in my back channel. I can send you the info. But yeah, those are just some random places I would definitely go to get your feet wet. And then, YouTube, there's a lot of good tutorials around that as well there. But conferences, I would just, if you're really interested in getting started, go to the conferences and check out the intro, conferences, and then, kind of be a fly on the wall, the more complex conversations, and then just start understanding the definitions and immersing yourself with people that are, figuring out the space. So yeah, that's those
That
thoughts.
was awesome, awesome. And I actually, the reason why I invited Jarrett on was I was caught up into one of his sessions. Like I got into it and I just started listening for like an hour and a half. And I actually have the session I posted on Twitter. I'm going to tweet it out immediately after this as well. And Startup Club we'll put it on the blog if we could. This one, Michelle, as well. But it's Web 3.0 Metaverse news, opportunities, and careers. And it was like a 3 hour session, and you bring on all these experts. And quite frankly, if it was just I learned so much from that one episode that I wanted to bring you on here to help share with our regular listeners as well. Thank you very much, Jarrett. Uh, Next week, we are going to be talking about brands and domain names, picking the right domain name for your business. So we're looking forward to that one. We have Paige Howe coming on, who does a regular show on domaining, and he's an expert in that. And we're going to have some fun with that. Thank you very much. If you haven't already done so, check out startup.club. Join that mailing list, because then you'll learn about the speakers that we have, the topics that we talk about. It's just a great resource to understand what's happening on the Startup Club. We're going for 1 million members, so if you know anybody else who wants to be a member of the Startup Club, please invite them. There's so much we learn from each other, from Vincent and Bianca and Fabio. It's been incredible show. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next time.
Thank
Hey,
you,
Fabio,
everybody.
connect.
Have a
Hey, Fabio,
wonderful day.
connect with me. I want to do some
Thank you,
NFTs
everyone.
with music.
Please, yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.